On today's episode of Path Month Presents, I've got a very special guest me joining today. Please welcome Tanner Jones. And for all of you who don't know, he is the VP of Business Development for Consultwebs. Tanner, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you on our show, hear more about your growth story, ultimately what you have done within Consultwebs, and essentially what you guys are doing in the market. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, Mariah. Thank you. And thank you to Path Monk for having me. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have you here. So now, in your own words, tell us, what is Consultwebs, and essentially what is the problem that you solve for your clients overall?
Sure. Yeah. Consultwebs is a really unique agency. We're a digital marketing agency, often described as a comprehensive digital marketing agency, really meaning that we provide all aspects of digital marketing and advertising. And we work exclusively with law firms. So we work with plaintiffs, law firms, mostly consumer-oriented firms, and we help them grow their business through attracting the right types of leads and ultimately helping them increase their case counts from the web.
Amazing. That's incredible. So why did Consultwebs exclusively just want to help law firms overall? Just like really curious.
Sure. Yeah. We're seeing more and more businesses today really niche down. And you've probably heard the saying, the riches are in the niches. I've heard that for many, many years. And I've been in the business world for some time, and I've always admired businesses that were willing to really say, this is who we are, this is who we help, and have a discipline of being able to say no when it doesn't align. And thankfully, the CEO and owner of Consultwebs, Dale Tincher, he founded Consultwebs back in 1999. And that was his mission was, I know I can do well for law firms. I've built some sites for lawyers. It makes sense to begin to focus our business so that we can ultimately improve our efficiencies within the business, become even more of an expert when it comes to really understanding their business model and their clientele. And, over time, I think it's a lot harder in the early stages as a business to turn away business when it doesn't, directly fit in line with what you're offering. But that discipline has proved to be an incredible business venture. And it's allowed us just to grow in confidence in knowing who we are, who we serve, and we're okay with that.
Amazing. Sweet. Thanks for giving me an insight onto that. Now, in terms of how your clients find you, so since law firms, it's very niche. So is it mainly through word of mouth? Is it through referrals? Is it through inbound? Or is it through a lot of different factors? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of ways that we attract business, but, looking within the legal vertical itself, a lot of lawyers build out their own book of business through referrals and word of mouth. And so that's something we've leveraged as well. It's something they know, they understand. And a bulk of our business comes through client referrals, and then other lawyers that find our websites, the websites we've built for other lawyers, and they find our name on the bottom of their websites. And so we consider that a web referral that we get. So that drives a bulk of business, but we're also out there. I'm joining you here, Mariah, and speaking. I speak at a number of legal marketing conferences throughout the year, whether in person or virtual, which is another great way to get our brand out there and to increase exposure. But we also do we're a marketing agency. We do our own marketing, social media advertising, content marketing, and lots of other aspects of digital advertising to get our brand out there. And so we're very fortunate to have a pretty well diversified stream of leads and new business.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with me. It gives me more insight as to what you guys are doing and ultimately what's working for you guys overall. So that's awesome. Sure. So now we're going to shift gears here. And I'm going to ask you about the website. So in your own words, what do you think are the major strengths of the company's website, and where are there opportunities or room for improvement as well?
Sure. Yeah. So for our strengths, we have, Consultwebs, as mentioned, has been around since 1999. So we have a ton of longevity with our website. That's a huge strength. But alongside that longevity would be the content that we've produced over the years. We have a lot of content on the website. And because of that, you can see that as a lot of proverbial lines in the water. if you will, allowing pages to reach prospective clients as they're doing searches. So that's a huge strength. Now, you asked for an improvement, right? Maybe a weakness or an area we'd like to improve on the website. Is that accurate?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a great question. It's a good challenge. There are a lot of things, that we would love to improve. One thing would be conversion. That's always been a factor of how do we improve or increase the amount of conversions coming through the website. But even beyond just the immediate conversions coming through the website, we also offer a lot of downloadables where people may put their name and their email address to get a resource, for example. We can always do a better job of nurturing those, what we would consider an MQL or a market qualified lead. That would be our biggest opportunity to be able to nurture those contacts where they haven't necessarily raised their hand with interest, but really, fostering those relationships through more resources, email content, possibly even some calls to get them to a conversion point. But that would be our biggest area of opportunity, I would say. It's a great question.
Definitely. But I mean, as you were saying, websites and, what you want to be able to always update. But I think it's great where, ideally, like these are the plans for what you would have in mind and then ultimately be able to put them into place. So I think it's great where you have an overall clear vision and it's going to work, what's going to work for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about you as a leader. So with being the VP of Business Development, give us an insight as to what an average day looks like for you. And ultimately, what have you learned along the way to get to this point in your career?
Yeah. Thanks for asking that. It's, I'll say I just enjoyed my 14th year at Consultwebs a couple of weeks ago.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
incredible.
you. Yeah, it's been a good run, and Consultwebs has been an incredible company to work for. My day-to-day has evolved certainly over the years. Today I'm doing a lot of coaching, a lot of leading. So I meet with a lot of individual team members. We're working through what are your bottlenecks, your challenges, and putting plans together and really helping them to accomplish the daily work. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not also having my own fair share of sales calls as well. So I also am heavily involved on the business development and the sales side and supporting my team, but also working directly with law firms and having initial conversations just to discover specifically what is it that you're trying to achieve online. What have been the pain points in the past? What are you running from? What are you running toward? Those are a lot of the daily conversations I'm having with attorneys, and then ultimately helping them build digital marketing strategies based on their experiences and what they're trying to achieve. Aside from that, Consultwebs is heavily invested in building up our team. Today, we're at over 125 full-time team members across the globe. And so we have team members across the world and the country, and we have the same amount of clientele. So we have just over 120 clients. And so that 1-to-1 ratio of team members to clients is truly unheard of in the agency world. I'm not aware of any other agency with that ratio. And some would even say Consultwebs is way overstaffed for that number of clients. So, but a big part of that is our ability to be able to serve the client, to dedicate full teams to our individual clients' campaigns. And so you can imagine I'm heavily involved on a daily basis or week-to-week basis, and also working with our clients to ensure what we set out to achieve is actually being achieved. And so a big part of that is the accountability around the results and spending time with our team and our clients in discussing that and being accountable to it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I really do like from hearing, what you were discussing is I could tell that, Consultwebs really focuses on being transparent from the beginning. Like, hey, we want to be able to understand what it is exactly that you're struggling with, so we can be able to make sure not only we can help you, but that we're the right fit. And that goes a long way. And overall, where, you want to be able to ultimately make sure that they're able to get what they need and make sure they're going to be happy customers and then long-lasting relationships at the end of the day as well.
That's right. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're getting close to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I hope so.
You are. You got this. So with all the overwhelming amount of content that there is out there now for marketers, where do you go to learn, grow, and overall just keep up to date, especially, with catering to the law industry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that changes from time to time. There are certainly some industry publications. I'm not going to list any one in particular, just because a simple Google search, most of them are already ranking really well. If there's a topic that you're interested in, most of those established publications provide some really good real-time information. But that's not necessarily where I go to for information that gives me confidence, that gives me clear data. Most often I'm leaning on our team and the data they're collecting. We're a very data-driven company. And I think that that's extremely important. And so the data doesn't lie, right? The data is what's going to tell you what's working, what's not working. So we lean heavily on that to suggest what's worth pursuing and what's worth dropping. Another area would be industry-specific conferences. I spent a lot of time on the road at various conferences, whether it be marketing conferences or legal conferences or a mixture of the two, legal marketing or legal marketing and management conferences. There are a lot of those niche focused conferences out there, even smaller roundtable groups, where you can learn so much more by really getting in the trenches alongside others, learning from others' mistakes, learning what they've done well and what's worked well for them. I believe that's where most marketers are going to get the most value, is having those intimate relationships, those trusted relationships within the industry where we can lean into one another and help each other grow forward.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for giving some insights, because I've learned a lot too as well, especially since I've never, been within like this industry. So I think it's really great as well, especially for a lot of our audience who, some who work within, law firms and just trying to figure out this angle, but overall with just, hearing it from industry experts like yourself, knowing where to stay up to date. So thanks for sharing those insights.
Most certainly.
Yeah. So now, my last question is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you could go back and restart your journey as a marketer today? Is there anything that you would do differently? What would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, that's a challenging question. It's certainly lots I would do differently. And for anyone to suggest they wouldn't do anything differently, I struggle with that, because there's a lot I would do differently. I think one piece is taking risks. I've never been a huge risk taker in the past. And from a marketing perspective, that can hold one back. And I've learned that over time. I think taking risk in this industry is critical. It's necessary. The whole concept of failing forward, that is maybe something my generation or prior generations have struggled with and accepting. There's some vulnerability in that's required to be willing to fail forward, to be okay making mistakes, to learn from that, to avoid making them again, but be okay making new mistakes. That's something that has taken many years to really understand. I'm nowhere near perfected on that point, but risk tolerance is very important, but also being accountable to the end result, right? So don't just take risks to be taking risk. Be intentional, be deliberate with it, know what the expected outcome should be, and be okay saying it didn't work and leaving it aside. There's confidence that's grown from that, because not to turn that corner again once you've done that. And that gives you the ability to run. And I think that's an important piece. Another thing on the marketing side that I'll add, which kind of goes in line with the data point I was making earlier, but don't trust opinions. And that's difficult, right? We all have our mentors. We all have individuals that have spoken truth and good information into our lives. And we want to be able to know that we can lean on that. And certainly don't blow that out of proportion. But what I'm suggesting from a marketing angle is, if someone says that won't work, that's not enough for me. And in the past, I would accept that, especially from people I really trusted. Today, I really want to challenge that and ask why. What gives you that feeling? Have you tested this before? Let's look through that data. If not, challenge it, test everything, and then ultimately use the data to guide your decisions going forward.
Yeah, exactly. I really love how you capitalized on, challenging the data, not being afraid of is what the number says, but how can we be able to see other outcomes? And I think that's a really great example where, you know, that's the reason why we have numbers. That's the reason why we have data.
Right.
We've got all of these tools. Let's see and let's test to be able to see if we can be able to overcome these numbers and see ultimately, you know, there could be new avenues that we haven't didn't even think of before. So
That's
that really
it.
resonated with me. Yeah, definitely. So now we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. But I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything we've talked about today in this interview, what is the ultimate thing you want them to remember about Consultwebs overall?
Consultwebs is the marketing partner that will help you grow. As a law firm business owner, that's one of the biggest challenges. You can be the best lawyer in the world, but if you don't have a client to serve, you have no business model. It's one of the biggest challenges. And so, you know, Consultwebs, I would want you to remember that we are a trusted partner to law firms, and we help them grow their business.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, Tanner. It was a pleasure having you here, learning more about what Consultwebs is overall, and essentially, you know, hearing more about your experience and your expertise with being in this industry for so many years. So thank you again.
Most certainly, Mariah. If you don't mind, would you allow me to offer, if there are any lawyers who come across this and are listening to this, we do pride ourselves in the value that we've delivered to the market, and especially at no cost. And one thing that we've done just recently is offered a free growth blueprint. And it's just as simple as going to our website, consultwebs.com, and seeing that link to the free growth blueprint and getting the opportunity to run through a very short survey and allowing us to prepare a custom blueprint for you.
Amazing. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that. I know our audience will appreciate it, especially for all lawyers who are listening. They will definitely be very happy to hear that. Awesome. Thank you so much again, Tanner. It was a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Mariah. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.